Hey, what's up, guys? This is Mikey Okindo.
And this is Michael Cherub.
And this is episode 2 of Just a Millennial. Intro right now.
Is it? Is it right? Is it doing that?
Well, that's the hype, you know, you get amped and then everybody's like, oh, I'm into this. And then intro, big music thing. And yeah.
In 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up, guys? We are back from our awesome intro. And so today we're going to be talking about millennials and your company culture, millennials in the workplace. We've got 3 big points that we want to hit on today. We're going to be talking about how to learn to let go of the need for specific outcomes and how to motivate employees when they don't want to put the work in. That happens. And we're going to finally finish things off with the fact that culture comes from the top, including bad culture. That's bad.
That's really bad. That
was a really bad accent. I don't know what that was.
You know, that accent started in our office, 8 months ago with Paul, and then it was like it just developed into I don't even know what anymore, and like we just do it for random stuff.
You know what it was from? It was from a guy. It was actually a YouTuber. You should check him out if you want to laugh a lot. His name is David So Comedy. And
yes.
What was it? It was an episode about Fast and the Furious. So that's all you really need to know. Just check him out. And he's pretty funny.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is. Free plug for you there, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Free real estate.
Exactly. So let's kick things off. First topic, boom, get right into it. Learn to let go of the need for specific outcomes. And you're probably thinking, oh, wait a minute. The need for specific outcomes, that sounds a whole lot like, goals. That's kind of a big deal. That's important. Why would you let that go? So would you let that go? Why would you want to let that go?
It's not the goals part that we're getting at. It's when you have things in your daily routine that have to be achieved every day for you to consider as a success. I mean, work isn't a ritual. If it becomes a ritual, then you need to take a step back because every day you should be kind of throwing something in there to throw, just to change things up. But you don't want a ritual for work unless, your job is, like ritual master for the Witchcraft Association of America, in which case your job is rituals and you should stick to it. And if you're watching this show, tweet us and let us know how you came across us because I'm slightly interested in that.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see, and this is completely off topic, but it's whatever. I'm completely interested to see exactly how many people watch this show, and not just how many, but like who they are. I think that's really interesting because I know that we're trying to appeal to an automotive audience, but at the same time, millennials is a topic that appeals to a lot of people, and not just millennials, but really anyone in business. So I would be really curious, especially if you are non-automotive and you just happen to stumble upon this show. Love to hear from you. Just a completely free plug there. Tweet at us, Instagram us, whatever you do, Snapchat, I don't know. Send us a message somehow. That'd be pretty cool.
At JAM_ATN, and we'll split from there. And what's funny is I'm actually fresh off a face-off. I'm actually getting double FaceTime this week on the network, which is pretty funny. I was invited to come do the first official face-off with Chris Fritcher, which is the show that comes before us. And he was looking for somebody that could argue with him. So if you missed that, autotainmentnetwork.com, another shameless plug right here, go back and watch it because he and my troll mode might have come into play a couple different times. One thing that's really important is everybody needs goals. Our CEO talks about it every single time. Write your goals down, make it plain. It's biblical. We can go into all that. But more specifically, it almost sounds like we're counteracting what we're trying to say in the first point. You should have daily goals. That's absolutely true. Your goals are something that you should strive to attain, especially if it's a daily goal. But if you don't meet that goal, it doesn't mean you failed. That's the biggest thing. I go into work, I don't know how many times a week, and I'll get there an hour early. I'll get some breakfast. I'll read a couple news articles, and I'll plan out my day. And working where I work, and some of you who actually know me personally know what my schedule is like, know that my day never goes as planned,
really?
Ever. But that doesn't mean I failed that day. Most of the time when it runs like that, I get 3 times the amount of work I had originally scheduled for myself knocked out. So if your need to achieve your goals every single day to that extent suddenly makes you a failure, you kind of need to drop the mentality, because you take that negativity and it can start to affect others, and they see, oh, well, I'm not reaching I'm not hitting my ritual. I'm not doing the same things. If you're working in sales, if you make a goal of, I need to make 100 calls today, and you don't meet that goal. But what if you don't make that goal because, you had 4 customers walk on the lot and that suddenly interrupted your call schedule, but you sold 2 cars? You didn't fail. You did not reach your goal. You literally made more money instead of making 100 calls. That's kind of what we're getting at, is don't let failure creep into your mind. Oh, God, I'm starting to sound like a motivational video.
Well, it's good though, because it's true. I mean, especially if you're a manager, because you are managing your individual salespeople, and if you have these very specific outcomes, which are good, because again, we're talking about goals. You need to set goals for your business. You need to set goals for your employees if you happen to be a business owner, manager, leader in some way, shape, or form. But it's really important to be flexible, because as Mike said, look, you can have success a plan is only as good as it is before it's actually put into practice. I mean, plans are great, but once you actually get the boots on the ground and things start happening, they never, I would love to speak to one person who's like, yeah, man, I wrote this plan up, and just start to finish, everything went exactly as planned. I even thought it was going to be sunny today, and it's sunny outside. It never happens. Never does that happen.
Really probably just a real world example that's not even work. Well, I guess it's work related for these people, but I mean, look at any major war, battle, fight that happens and takes place in a modern era with the army or the military. Oh my gosh, they go in with this most strategic plan. I could even reference, when they went to take out Osama bin Laden. Yes, it's a controversial topic whether he died.
But it's all based on data and analysis and real stuff.
All this planning, and all of a sudden, if you've seen the movie, they're sending their guys into a place they shouldn't be. It's perfectly executed, the fly in, and all of a sudden one of their choppers goes down. Nobody, the guys got off the chopper and they completed the mission, but they definitely weren't expecting that. Doesn't matter. It just happens. And these are some of the best military minds in the world that put this plan together, and something goes wrong. Something will always affect your plan.
And the best business minds too. It happens to them every single day. But you have to be able to be flexible. If you can't, especially as a manager, if you're talking about company culture, if you're talking about employee satisfaction and how happy people are to walk into work every day, if all you do is have these very specific outcomes, and when they don't hit them, you can't celebrate small victories in other areas, that's going to be problematic. That's going to create a really bad culture for people to live in. Millennials especially, we love feedback, whether it's good or bad. We love for you to be able to give us feedback, and we love to be able to celebrate corporately. We really are all about, community interaction. We both love that. I think millennials in general love that a lot. So
feedback is one of the most important things you can give to not just a millennial, but any coworker for that matter. I mean, I have my own YouTube channel. I'm not going to plug it, but I do my own videos. I do my own things, and it's really great when people leave me nice comments and they say nice things, and they'll send me messages, and it's awesome. Don't get me wrong.
If they say anything,
but the ones that I actually pay the most attention to are the ones that are criticizing constructively or just bashing me. Now, I'm able to spot whether somebody's just like trolling me. I'm a troll. I see a troll. But the people that come on and actually take the time to constructively criticize me, I take a lot of time to listen to what they say, because they're not just praising me for doing something right. They're saying, look, this is what I see that you could do that could have been done so much better. And that's what it comes to. And to the same extent, for those of you that are listening that aren't a manager, that are a quote unquote subordinate, if somebody comes to you, don't take criticism always. Don't be offended every single time somebody says something. It's not negative. Most of the time, if they're coming to you in care, they're coming to you because they see that you're doing something and they want to go, look, I want to help you. So if somebody's coming to you in that sense, don't immediately put your defenses up. Take time to listen to them because they took the time to come over and tell you. Now, if you're just like, Mikey, your hair sucks, bro.
That's not constructive.
That's not constructive. If I came up and say, Mikey, maybe you should, I'm just saying from my standpoint, if you styled your hair to the right instead of the left, you might flow a little better.
Right, you're just trying to help somebody.
That was a really poor example with hair.
Well, but the point, I think they get the point. The point is, if you have a lot of things going on a daily basis, which you do, and you have a lot of different goals, if you don't hit all of them, celebrate the victories you do have. Don't punish everyone just because one or two people didn't hit your goals. You still need to learn to celebrate. Companies that celebrate together grow together. Teams that celebrate together experience much more happiness. You get much better feedback. There are better relationships between managers and their team. It's just you create a much better environment that way. You have to be able to be real with people. Talk with them about, look, you didn't hit this goal, but at the same time, you have to roll with the punches and 1, acknowledge the good things, and 2, acknowledge, like Mike said, just because you get thrown off of one goal doesn't mean that maybe you somehow segued from that to accomplish something else really cool. Maybe you didn't make 100 cold calls. Great. What if you didn't make 100 cold calls because, if you're in a business that's doing that, you end up getting a customer on the phone, you work with them for an extended period of time, which of course limits the amount of calls you can make for the rest of the day.
That's true.
But you end up turning those customers into actual buyers. Does that mean that you failed because you didn't make those 100 cold calls? I don't think so. And as a manager, you have to take a closer look at exactly what your people are doing beyond the numbers. Because if you don't, you're going to accidentally probably encourage bad behavior or discourage good behavior, whichever way you want to look at it. I mean, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Just phrased it differently.
And this is kind of leading into what we said was going to be the third point, but I think we should probably jump into the second one, because I think the one that we originally had second will probably go better after the third when we kind of get into it, is company culture. Culture, no matter what, starts from the top and heads down. I know it's such a cliche in business and in everything, because everybody says it comes from the head down. Yes, to an extent that is true, absolutely. But culture truly, I mean, if you are an owner or if you are a manager, you need to decide whether it's over your entire facility or over your department that you want to have a specific culture. That in and of itself, I think, is more important than ever. With our company, we have a very open culture. Now, there are times that the sales team gets rowdy, or the BDC's yelling, or somebody's yelling across the office, and it kind of gets annoying. Absolutely, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I love the culture that we have. It's open. There's always energy. There's always people up and moving. It's not just like this stagnant call center where everybody's sitting at their cubicle 8 hours a day, 30 minutes for lunch, and everybody sits in the break room and doesn't speak to each other. I mean, you could almost consider every single person in that office a family member to an extent, because you get to know them so well just working.
Yeah, and how it's a successful culture is when not only, yes, as he said, it does start from the top. Everyone understands that. That's established. If you disagree, please do send a message to us. We'd love to hear why. But from what we're operating on the assumption that we believe culture starts from the top. But what really makes a culture successful, I think, is when you find that your individual people, like he said, the people on the ground, the people who aren't managers, who are just regular employees, are actually the ones that willingly choose to drive your culture for you. Now, when I say drive, I don't mean dictate. You're still telling them exactly what you want to do. You're still the business owner. But what I mean by that is you don't have to go to somebody at your business when you don't have to go to them and tell them that something that's a part of your culture. If you believe heavily in transparency and you believe in disclosing certain things or being very real in meetings, or if you believe that meetings should be very short, no longer than 15 minutes, and it's just an established thing, whatever it is that you do that's very specific and unique to you, when you find people doing that of their own free will, wanting to do it, they enjoy doing it, they not only love coming to work, but they actually love your day-to-day processes and the things that you do that make you unique, you have a pretty darn successful culture at that point. And if you find you have to force people to do stuff, you could just blame them. You could just say, they're just stubborn. They just don't want to listen to me. Or you could look at yourself and say, look, I'm the business owner. I literally make the rules of the game. I can't complain when people don't do what I want them to do, or complain about an outcome, because that would be like the makers of Monopoly being like, man, this sucks. I hate that you have to go to jail. Like, you made the game. You can at any point just change the rules and be like, you know what? No jail anymore. No jail. No jail. Like, you absolutely cannot complain, because if you're a business owner, you can change the rules at any point. So if you do find that people are, not wanting to do what you ask them, if you feel that people aren't really conforming to your culture, one, that's on you. And two, if in fact they are conforming to it, they love it, then that's when you're a success. If you're trying to measure when there's success.
And there's two key things I want to hit really quick before we jump to our third, quote unquote subtopic. Number one, creating a good culture. Something that I definitely recommend is, something that Mikey hit on earlier, is celebrate the small victories. Mm-hmm. If you hit a monthly goal, obviously everybody's happy about that, but celebrate the small things now
every day.
But and this is something that I hate that's talked about millennials, because it drives me nuts, because I definitely didn't. I don't know how we got this rap. I'm not by any means saying everybody gets a participation trophy.
Oh, no.
Somehow we got pegged with, we grew up where everybody got a participation trophy. Well, I can tell you this.
That's bullcrap.
I played soccer for 14 years, and I remember every single year I won first place with my team. And I remember every single year that I got that stupid bloody trophy that you got just because it was like, everybody gets one. Yes. Everybody got one, but you know what the great thing was? If you came in first, you got first. If you came in second, you got second. If you came in third, you got third.
And your trophy
everybody
was
got
huge.
A trophy, but the trophies that were huge were the ones that you wanted.
Yes.
And you knew who those kids were.
They were like the muscular.
Create a culture where you're accepting of those little celebrations. If you're managing a sales team at a dealership, and let's just say that your monthly goal is you guys want to sell 100 units across, between however many. I don't know what's a big number for people.
5,000. 5,000 cars in 1 month.
It's over 9,000? Is it over 9,000?
Yeah.
It's over 9,000!
Yeah, that's a realistic goal. Either one of those.
But, if you set a daily goal, you guys do your sales meeting in the morning, you guys say, look, we need to sell 20 cars today. And let's say come 6:30, you sell your 20th car. Mm-hmm. And actually, for that matter, you got 2 more people in finance, and as soon as they put the ink on the paper, that's 22 for the day. You guys aren't set to necessarily close for the next hour, but maybe take them out. I'm not saying buy every single person dinner, but buy somebody a drink. Take everybody to go get ice cream. I know it sounds really dumb because, we're adults and say, oh, go get ice cream. I can't tell you how excited I get when my wife's like, let's go to Cold Stone. I'm like, yes, let's go. Well, yep. I'm actually dieting right now, so when she says let's go to Cold Stone, I generally cry because
it's frustrating.
Because I can't have it, and it's like. But the second point, not to cut you off.
Well, at the very least, even if you don't take people to Cold Stone, like if you sell 20 cars, whatever your goal is, in that day, assuming you have a daily goal, which you should. Why not celebrate every single deal? Like, I know that sounds simple, and I'm sure there are a lot of dealerships who do that. So by no means am I trying to say, or are we trying to say that you guys aren't celebrating. I'm sure that we know that there are a lot of you who do. We speak to a lot of you. We know that. But we also know there are a lot who may not. Every single car you sell, like, you don't have to get somebody something, but just like what we do at the office. I mean, it's phenomenal. Every time you see a sale go through, people are high-fiving, people are excited, there's music that goes off. We've got a whole digital board that tracks sales and updates with, fireworks that go off on the screen because we have TV screens that track it. Like, it's just fun. You just have fun, and it's every single sale. Like, I know this is just sales related. You're going to have to do other things for marketing. We can't tell you what to do for every one of them. But if we're just talking about sales, that's a very simple example. That's something we do at the office every single day with a very simple piece of software. And if you have a TV and a computer, you can do it as well.
Absolutely.
Just have some fun with it, and you'd be surprised the kind of ROI you would get from having a team that really gets excited about some sales and really can build momentum off of that.
And that's another little side point is, and it kind of, both of these kind of tie in together. Number one is make sure that, your team culture is about the team and not about the lone wolf. This isn't Zach Galifianakis where he was the lone wolf in the one-man wolf pack that suddenly became 4. This isn't that. Well, to an extent it kind of is. But you need, in my second point that I really wanted to hit on was, as much as it sucks to say this, sometimes you need to deal with toxicity in a very direct manner.
Oh, sure.
You know, if you find somebody in your company that's toxic, I can't even begin to tell you how quickly that toxicity will grow from one person to two, from 2 to 5, from 5 to 10, and suddenly you have those few that are absolutely loyal to you to death, and then everybody else is talking. And you know, I've seen it firsthand.
They poison the rest.
It's all it is, and I've seen it firsthand. You know, where I work. Much time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But I was actually, I realized, you know, I had actually become part of that toxic. It had spread to me. And I realized one day I was sitting there and I'm going, wow, how did I ever get to this point?
You didn't even want to be there.
I didn't want to be there, and I never even realized I got there. And most of the time you don't realize it until it's too late. But and the most effective manner, number one, is if you find a toxic person, you need to find out what they're toxic about. You know, as you know, gamers call it online, what are you salty about? Why are you being salty? But if it ever comes to a point where you're having to have this conversation 2 and 3 times, cut the dead branch. Get it out.
It's way less painful.
It's much less painful dealing with that than all of a sudden having an uprising of 5 employees leaving at the same time because you didn't make them happy one day.
Or just having to fight with one person who like is battling your insistence to do, you know, you're trying to set your company culture. You're trying to put positivity out there. You're trying to make this a great place to work. And then you have this one person, this Sauron, this Voldemort of sorts that you have to fight against every single day. And we all know what you do with Voldemort. You get rid of him. You confront him. You get your wand out. You do the little battle.
Which book do you want it to be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7? 7, he gets rid of him.
Yes.
Oh, spoiler alert! Shoot.
If someone is watching this and hasn't seen Harry Potter,
you know what? It's not even a spoiler alert anymore.
The last movie came out when?
Oh God!
Several years ago. It's on you if you haven't seen that.
I almost cried. My wife laughed at me while she was my fiance. Actually, she may not have been my fiance just yet, but I was like, "This is the end of my childhood." We walked in the theater to see the last movie, and that kind of leads into, you know, the company culture as a whole. Definitely leads into the final point, which is how do you motivate employees that aren't willing to put in the work?
Which does happen.
I can tell you one thing, you know. Those little celebrations are motivation, especially in a sales team and a marketing team where you guys are pushing for a goal. That little bit of satisfaction, you know,
and recognition.
And recognition it's that quote unquote 5 minutes of fame that you really, you know, everybody craves. Let's just be honest. Everybody wants to be on camera. Everybody wants to be on film.
Sure.
Let's be honest. But most of the time, none of us can handle the lifestyle. But I think definitely if you started doing things like that, it would definitely improve morale with some of your employees that, you know, can do the work but don't necessarily want to.
And the key to understand with these kind of people is we're really trying to differentiate so you understand. We talked about people who could be toxic in your company culture. This is completely different. If somebody, and you might think like, okay, somebody who's toxic versus somebody who wants to not put in the work, that's one and the same. They can be, but it's really important to distinguish because there are some people who may not want to put in the work in your organization, and it may not because they're toxic, and it may not be because they're a bad person or they have a bad attitude. It could honestly just be because they're demotivated. It could really be because you haven't taken the time to get to know them, to understand them, to listen to them, all things hugely important to millennials. And maybe it's just time for you to, and I'm sure you've done this already, to identify that person, who that person is, or that group of people, and sit down one-on-one, talk with them, and listen. Don't just like sit down and be the typical office space manager who says, okay, so what exactly do you do here? And then you just sort of, you know, like badger them about what they can do better. That's fine. You have to be able to have goals and expectations, but listen to them as well. Try to get them to be real with you. Ask them questions that open themselves up as a person, that make them want to be honest and truthful, not the bullcrap kind of answers that you get from people when you're like, hey, so, you know, talk to me about how you've been feeling here. Have you been enjoying work? Oh, yeah, work's been good. You know, it's been fine. I've had a few issues with Shelly from accounting, but, you know, like that's a bullcrap answer. Every time you ask somebody that, they're going to give you the same thing. Oh, yeah, it's been good. Yeah, it's really great. Culture's really good. No. Try to ask them questions to get at the core of who they are. Where do they want to be in 5 years? Why are they working here? Do they want to continue to work here? And be honest with them. Say, look, I want you to not give me any bullcrap. I want you to give me the real deal. Tell me what you really think. I'm not going to fire you if you tell me, no, I really don't want to work here for the rest of my life. I'm just kind of here in between jobs. If that's the truth, just tell me that. You should be so transparent with your employees that you want them to tell you that.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you get at the crux of things. That's how you get down to figure out why is somebody like this. Oh, they're like this. They're not motivated because they don't really want to be here long term. Or, you know what? They wanted to be here long term, but then they didn't see a career path. They didn't see anywhere for them to go. So they kind of got demotivated and they felt like they were constantly being just pushed to the side and not recognized, as you said.
Yeah.
You have to recognize them. And so because of that, they no longer felt like it was worth their time to put in above and beyond the effort needed to just do the basic job. So if you get at that and you figure out, oh, that's why, then that's something you can fix. That's something you can address and say, okay, I'm going to do my best as the manager, as an owner, to make you feel important, to make you feel like, you know what, this is a business worth putting your time into. And if they say, no, I just don't really want to work in this industry, you know, you can work with that too. If you feel like you want to cut ties because of that, if you feel like you want to maybe just try to convince them why your industry is good. I mean, there are different avenues you can go down. You can choose that yourself. But the point is, get at the truth. Get at why they're not working the way that they should. Figure that out before you just decide to cut ties with them, at least.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I keep looking at my watch because we are out of time. You know, I swear, this time seriously flies by. Like, you start talking, and I'm like, my wrist is vibrating. I'm like, what? We're done already? So,
that's it.
You know, in retrospect, one of the biggest things is build a great culture. You know, everything we talked about all stems from having a good culture. You know, if you... Something that Lisa Copeland, who's one of the biggest Fiat dealers in America, who I've actually had a couple of different chances, not even on Auto Deal Live or any other thing that I do at work, just like I was able to actually talk with her one-on-one, and something that she talked about in the workshop was she does employee surveys, I think once every month or every 2 months.
Really?
And if she's watching and she wants to correct me, send me a text. You got my number. But she does that and she finds out where her people stand, and it's anonymous. You know, you don't put your name on it, so she can't necessarily know who's saying this, but you can be honest, and at that point she can address the things that aren't going well. And that's definitely something that anybody can incorporate into their business model. You know, 5-question survey, type out a question, put in 6 spaces, type another one, 6 spaces, you know, whatever. And you send it out in an email, you tell everybody, I want you to print this out, fill it out, give it to, don't even make him give it to you, give it to somebody that, you know, as a company they would trust.
Right.
Let them be the one to read through and give you the feedback. And at that point, you can start addressing things that aren't working well. But now we got to wrap it up. So on the screen now is our Twitter and Instagram handle. It is at JAM_ATN. That stands for Autotainment Network, which is where you are right now watching this show. Unless you somehow stumbled across our YouTube live link, in which case go to autotainmentnetwork.com. That's also on the screen right now. And I'll let Mikey finish the wrap up.
That's right. That's pretty much it. All I've got to say is, look, this is a show we want to make driven by you, the viewer. So please do, I know that we're starting things off and this is fresh and new, but please watch our previous episodes and tweet in, Facebook comment in, Instagram, Snapchat, do whatever you want to do, but get a hold of us, get in touch with us, email us, and call us if you want to. Send us some questions, send us some thoughts, ideas, whatever you have, for things that you want to hear us talk about on future shows. If you have a specific question you would like us to answer on air, feel free. Tweet at us. That's the best way to reach us. Use hashtag JAM, just a millennial.
Yep.
Pretty cool. That was his idea. It was very, very cool.
Jam session.
And just send us a question. We would love to get not just feedback from you, but be able to actually answer your question and, get it. Well, should I get rid of the stash? Should I keep it? Should I just go with a beard? I don't know.
You know what? Twitter poll going up at the end of this segment. Should Mikey keep the stash? Make sure you vote. We're gonna keep it open for 3 days. Make sure you vote on that Twitter poll.
I really do, whichever one you guys say. Honestly, for real, I would. If you don't like it, I'll next episode you'll see
Yeah, you'll find out.
But, at least the one after that.
Maybe.
Coming soon, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do it.
And you stay tuned, guys, because coming up next is Who's Your Danny? Danny Benitez, one of the funniest guys ever. On that note, I'm Mike Cherub.
And this is Mikey Okendo.
We out.
Signing off. Till
Peace.
next time.